Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's video, I want to talk about ropes. Are you wanting to be a team roper, calf roper, steer tripper? Are you looking for a rope just to use out there on the ranch? I want to tell you some things that helps determine the kind of rope that you will need. First off, let's start with team roping, shall we? There's a header and there's a heeler. Now, head ropes are typically going to be a little bit shorter. They're going to be about 25 feet long, and they're usually going to be on the softer side, or you're going to want a softer side of the rope. What I mean by this, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about whenever I say this, there's extra soft, super soft, soft, mediums, there's hards, and there's everything in between. Usually, though, your headers, and it really just comes down to your preference, your headers are going to use something that's a super soft to a soft. The softer the rope, generally, and this is what I found with beginners like most of the time, is that the softer the rope, usually the better it is for them. It just helps it stay open better, gives them a little bit more control, so that way you're not having to work quite as hard to try to practice with it. Now, heel ropes, on the other hand, like what I got right here, and this is actually on the shorter side for a heel rope. This one's only 30 feet long. Usually they're about 35 feet long or a little bit longer, but they make ropes all the way up to 60 feet long. And those are the ropes that you may see out there on the ranches and everything. But for a heeler, you're going to see ropes that are usually medium is usually the primary choice for a heeler. It's just what a lot of them tend to use, and it's just what a lot of them tend to like. At the end of the day, again, it's your preference. But they are available in other ways, but you're not going to be able to find a super soft and a heel rope unless they start making one, which I highly doubt that they will. Extra soft, super soft, or even a soft is very, very uncommon in the heel side of being able to go out and actually rope, steers in the rodeo arena. Like I said, heel ropes, you most generally are going to be medium or all the way up to a medium hard, or just the harder the rope on a heeler, usually. It just depends at the end of the day, like really. Again, it's all up to you and what you're trying to do. And that's why it's so important to try out different ropes. I recommend if you go to a store and if you're going to think about buying that rope on the shelf, take it out, untie it, swing it around a few times. If you don't know how to swing it around, stay tuned for in the future, because we're going to have a video on that in general, swinging and being able to test ropes and things along those lines. The rope I'm holding right now is what we call seconds, or it's what I refer to as seconds. Some people call it different things, which means that it has a defect on it, and it is marked that way, and it tells you right here on the end. It tells you how long the rope is. It's marked. They should all be marked, and then it tells you if it swings true, if it's true to itself, or if it's a second. Now, if it's a second, the defect could be anything, but those second ropes are usually a lot cheaper. The reason I bought this rope is because it was really cheap. It still can do what I wanted to do, and it was half the price of getting another one. Now, that being said, I will be getting some new ropes here very soon. Hopefully, I got the order placed, and those will be brand new, true to the core of what I actually need. Now, ropes that swing true are going to be critical if you're in the rodeo arena, especially if you're competing for money. But if you're watching this video, you're probably a complete beginner. And some advice I would give to you is buy a practice dummy first. It'd be head and heeling, or if it's a dummy that you can head and heel on both, start on the ground and practice. Because if you cannot do it right from the ground, you will never be able to do it right from horseback. You will not be able to ever get that going perfectly. And it's better to make a lot of mistakes on the ground. So whenever you get up on a horse, and things change a little bit though, but you have the basic fundamentals do not change that much after you get up on a horse. But start on the ground until you get comfortable on the ground. And don't just practice from one angle on the ground though, guys. Practice from different angles, practice from different distances, practice being able to throw your whole rope if you have to, because that is where it all begins, and that's where your technique and your fundamentals start to come in. At the end of the day though, guys, if you're looking to buy a rope, check out websites like Be Relentless. That's Trevor Brazil's website, and he sells ropes and saddles and pads and rope bags and everything else on that website. If you don't know who Trevor Brazil is, You probably need to look him up before you actually get into this gig and stuff, though, because if you haven't been following enough to know who Trevor Brazile is, the all-time winningest cowboy in the history of rodeo, just so many world titles, it's not even funny, guys. Make sure, though, that you get the basics, the fundamentals down. Make sure that you're buying a good rope. I do not recommend buying a second rope. I don't mean buying two ropes. I mean seconds, just as I was saying earlier. The defects, you guys have probably seen this. If you've been to Louisville Slugger and things like that, they sell second baseball bats. They're usually off balance and stuff. That's the way these ropes are. They're off balance. They don't swing true. They're not going to be able to fly exactly true to where you're going with them. I do not recommend that to a new roper or somebody that's just starting out on the dummy. It's not something that you're really going to want to do. Buy a rope that is true. That's why, again, I recommend BeRelentless.com. They'll check the ropes, they'll test them, and they're not going to send you one that's seconds. They're going to send you one that swings true. Now, depending on how you use it and stuff, though, it could become deformed over time. Ropes tend to do that. But in order to get it to stretch out so that way it doesn't have a lot of give to it whenever you actually go to roping with it and everything, tie it off between two trees. You can wrap it around your waist and put it on the ball hitch of your truck and just lean back with it. I do that. I tie it between trees, just make sure it's tight, and that will stretch it out. Let it stay out in the sun for a while, and that will stand true. Or if you have a horse, tie it off to the saddle horn on your rope and saddle, put it around a post or something, and just back up and let that rope stretch out and get to where it needs to be, because you don't want a lot of give in it if you're going to be out there team roping. If you're going to be calf roping, the ropes change a little bit. There's different thicknesses, and there's just so many different things, though, guys, that play into this. And again, at the end of the day, it depends on what you're doing with the rope. It also depends on a number of factors, your preferences, and what kind of roper you're going to be at the end of the day. Keep all this in mind and more, guys. There's a lot more to it, but it all starts with the rope, because if you want to rope cattle, you can't do it with anything else. Make sure that you check out BeRelentless.com. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but just check it out, though, guys. You won't be disappointed. A lot of good things on there. Check out your local tack shops and stuff. You can buy ropes and things in Tractor Supply and stores like that. Not that I recommend really doing that, because you really need to buy ropes that are made from better brands. If you're going to be a header or heeler, check out the C4 ropes on BeRelentless.com. Those are my two favorite ropes that I've ever swung, and they are true. And I prefer a super soft. Some people prefer other things, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, what I've been saying throughout this whole video, it really depends on what you want to do with your rope and what you're wanting to do. God bless each and every one of you guys. Thank you, and stay tuned for our future videos. Make sure that you're paying attention, especially if you're a beginner roper, because we're going over how to swing a rope, and we'll be going over some key fundamentals here in the very near future.